Hey everyone, welcome back to Automation. So you may recognize this car as the V16 Miata that I made. I also made a drift spec version on stream at one point, but I had a suggestion from TwinTurBros to make this into an all-wheel drive version, kind of like Gingium's Rally Miata, so that's what I'm going to be doing today. So when it comes to styling, I'm just going to do my own thing. I'm not going to base it off of the Rally Miata at all. It's just going to be my own design as usual. And I think what we're going to do is swap out some of these components here. It's already a little bit too heavy. I mean, it's 1456 kilos. That's the same weight roughly as my G35. I think my car is just a little bit more than that. Power is a little bit down. I'd like to put it up maybe 100 more than it has. But other than that and styling, yeah, those are going to be the main changes. Okay, so this is the engine that currently is in this car. It is a V16. It is not happy right now, but we're going to be changing this because it's just far too big. What I want to do instead is I actually want to go for a Boxer 4. I mean, it does have to have some sort of base in Gingium's Rally Miata, and we're going to be using all-wheel drive as well. Now, I don't know the specs for an EJ25 or an EJ20, I think it is, Turbo WRX engine. I've totally forgot all the Subaru engine codes. But I'm going to be going for an aluminum engine. I want to make 350 horsepower, so I'm going to actually bring this up to maybe a 2.5 liter. Yeah, there we go. That's exactly 2.5, and the stroke is pretty far down as well. We should be able to get a decent RPM limit out of this. And we'll also go for an overhead cam, just a single overhead cam with 4 valves. So it's going to look something like this. Now, I really don't often do Boxers. But I think that this is going to help the car in general just to be better. So I figure I'll go ahead and, well, we don't need the crazy stuff, do we? Let's just kind of go somewhere in between. Yeah, I think that's going to be a good mix. If we need anything better here, I'll turn it up. Okay, so compression in that we'll have to come back to, but we are going to be putting a turbo on it. Unfortunately, this game will only let you twin turbo these, so we'll go with a twin turbo setup for now. I'm actually going to go with a single direct injection with a performance intake, just because it's a little bit more realistic. That's kind of what you would see on a regular Subaru. That is a complicated looking engine there, my goodness, and the intercooler is tiny. So something I found out on stream a couple of weeks ago is that you can go for a non-intercoolered turbo setup in automation. I had no idea that this was even a thing, but apparently there is a preset for it, and it does work. Also, it's really funny, the pipes on this are going to be really long going to the turbos. For some reason, they really like putting them in the back on these Boxer engines. Okay, so I said I wanted 350 horsepower, which is quite a bit of power for something like this. It's hopefully going to be a bit lighter than it was before, just based on the fact that it now has a 4-cylinder instead of a 16-cylinder. Somewhere in there we lost a V12 worth of cylinders, so that's probably going to make it a little bit lighter. Immediately also, I'm not happy with the low RPM, so I've increased the conrod quality to be quite a bit more than it was, and I'm hoping that we can get somewhere into the 8,000s. I don't know how realistic that is, but we'll see. Okay, so I've gotten to the point with this engine where it makes no power down low and all of the power is way up here. It's a very interesting one because it's actually hitting all of the marks for automation, but in terms of actual drivability, I'm not sure how good this is going to be. For a 2.5 liter to make 356 horsepower, that's pretty decent. I've got kind of mid-sized turbos on here, nothing crazy, and I've had to tweak everything to come up with this, but our RPM limit is 7,100, so that's not too bad. We could do better with our components, but I think it's going to be okay. Like, if I was concerned about cost, we could lower the components, just because their limits are quite a bit higher than what we're doing. We're not even close to pushing the limits of the parts that we're using, so it's fine the way it is. And the only thing that's restrictive is our intakes, but with this amount of power, I am okay with that. 356 horsepower sounds pretty darn good to me. Okay, on to the styling. So this car is going to be a coupe, not a convertible. Or I guess it's a convertible, but it's a hardtop convertible. It's just a Miata with the hardtop on, basically. I'm gonna go ahead and fix some of the things that have disappeared just because they were mod fixtures, so yeah, this new version doesn't have most of the mods. However, it's not a big deal, like, that's close enough. Okay, so I've got a lot of different options for paint, but I think what I'm going to do is go for a blue color. Yeah, I think it just has to be blue. Okay, so now that we have that out of the way, I'm actually going to go ahead and skip over to Drivetrain. Just because I want to get this stuff down before we get too far into this. Now, we have a lot more power, and I'm gonna assume that our weight is down. Oh no, actually it's up. Okay, somehow we gained 100 kilos, which is not good. It's even heavier than it used to be. We might have to do some different changes for the interior and such to fix that. Needless to say, it's only gonna get heavier because we're gonna be going all-wheel drive. We'll keep the manual 6-speed, but we need to adjust the gears and stuff to get this right. Okay, so I've gone ahead and went with a slightly rear bias all-wheel drive. Slightly lower spacing, good top speed. I think this is going to be a pretty fast car, and also I've got to change up these names. It's not a V16 anymore. Okay, in terms of wheels, we're actually exactly where we should be. Drivability and sportiness are a little bit low, but we'll come back to that because there's one thing that we have to do as we're moving on here, and that is all the way over in suspension, because this thing is not nearly tall enough to be sort of a rally all-wheel drive inspired Miata. So I think we need to change some things, including making it have off-road sway bars, and we'll just slap an off-road preset on there. Oh no. Okay, obviously this is way too tall, but I'll be trying to fix this as we move forward, and I want to style around the look that we have. It's probably going to be something like this, maybe? Potentially a little bit lower than that, somewhere around here. Not quite all the way at the top. Okay, so convertible sport budget is super happy with us right now, 122.8. I want to keep it that way, but I'm gonna make sacrifices that will probably hurt it in the name of saving weight, because we are getting really heavy here. Oh yeah, because this is a clone, I can't change the body panels to be carbon fiber or something like that, so we're working with the same thing that we had before. Needless to say, I think it's time that we styled this car just a little bit differently. I don't think it needs that much that's different. Obviously it's got a Boxer in there now, so it's a completely different engine style, but there's still so much front room. You could probably fit 2 Boxers in there, which really gives me some ideas for Boxer 8s. Please add those, automation devs. Okay, so what I want to do is spend some time on this in terms of styling and come up with something that's decent and also sort of like off-road-ish, if that's even possible. I guess what we can first do is extend out the fenders, because I had this idea that I want to try, and we'll see if it even works. But if I just put a little bit of extension on these, not huge like that, but just a little bit, then I might be able to make them look like they're bolt-ons. Now I've seen this done quite a few times on different showcase vehicles, so it's not like this is an original concept or anything, but I want to take the time to put some bolt pattern stuff on here to make it seem like these were not meant to be here. So the easiest way to do that is find some kind of dots and then we'll spread them around. Now when I originally thought of doing this, I was thinking I'd go with these, but they are not quite the right size. There were some mod fixture ones that were much better, but obviously they're not in the game right now. Okay, another option we have is using badges, because they did magically reappear. Now if there were any that were just simply circles, then that would be pretty darn easy. Oh, perfect. Okay, looks like we have these. So this is gonna look like the car has polka dots for a couple minutes here, but I'll try to make it work. We can't change the color of these, so this is all we got. So all I'm going to do is duplicate, and then duplicate 1,000 times, but I'm also gonna mirror this because it needs to exist on both sides. Okay, so this is kind of what it looks like. Some of them are a little bit off. Obviously it needs to be tweaked, but yeah, it could be worse. It doesn't look great, I will admit. I need to do a little bit more work on this. Now obviously it wouldn't be sitting exactly flush with this if it was a bolt-on piece, so what we have to do as well is figure out a way to make it look like there's a line all the way along here, which is not easy, and that's probably the hardest part of this. Okay, so this is probably going to be a ton of work, but I might be able to duplicate this a bunch of times to be able to make it look like it's a cut piece. My goodness, the effort is probably not worth it, but I'm gonna give it a shot anyways. Okay, so this is what I have so far. I've done half of the wheel well. It actually looks okay. I'm surprised by the way it's coming out. It's not too bad. It does stick out a little bit more than I'd like, but I'm gonna give it another go and try to finish the whole side off and see what that looks like. When trying new things like this, I mean, it's possible that I'm gonna spend a bunch of time on it and it's not gonna work, but it's still fun to try. Okay, so here's what I've got. It kind of looks like somebody just kind of scratched a line all the way across it. And again, I'm not sure how I feel about that. What I might do is change the color of these to be just a little bit lighter, although that really doesn't look any different. Okay, so what I did is I changed them all to be blue, and that seems to be helping a little bit. It doesn't stick out as much, but I don't know. It doesn't quite look right. From a distance it looks fine, I mean a far distance, but it is a little bit weird. Let me know what you think of this in the comments. Obviously it's not even close to as smooth as it could be. Yeah, I'm kinda not sure what to do about that. I've spent a lot of time on it though, so yeah. Okay, I'm gonna leave it for now and I'm gonna think about it. Although I think I need to duplicate this one more time just to fill in that little gap down there. What I used to do on my videos is I would try to do something different and unique every time, and in this case this would be that. Okay, so I want to work on some other things as well. Obviously this can't just be the only thing that I do. I want to try and do something that I did previously, which was I think I put one of these on a car and it cut the back out. So I want to try and do that. And we might be able to get rid of some of this by using this technique. I'm a big fan of these like cut back ends, and I think they just look good on cars like this, so that's why I'm going for this. Okay, that's a little bit better, to be honest. If I lower that down, unfortunately it doesn't cut out much, but that's definitely something. So what this will allow me to do is try and click on the things that I don't need anymore and get rid of them, and that just makes this look ever so slightly neater, possibly. So I kind of feel like all I've done is butcher the car, but I'm going to try to make it good. Bear with me here as I attempt to do some things. I'm going to steal some styling cues from my magnum opus because, well, that car is more of a test bed than anything. But let's put a rear brake light on here as well. Try to make it look a little bit nicer. Okay, I'm actually going to do the same sort of exhaust style that I did on the magnum opus as well. Again, because I like that a lot. But this car has dual exhaust, so we'll put two out like that, and then put them right down the center. Like if I ever end up making a project car in the future, it's probably going to have center exhaust. Just get ready for that because I really like the look. Okay, let's put a plate on the car because people complained about that last time. So we'll actually have a license of some kind. You know what, that might work out right up here. And we'll give it a New York plate as well. I don't know, I just like the New York plate. And just to give that plate some context, I'm gonna go ahead and fill in that area with something. There we go, just a little bit extra detail, and the plate fits really nicely in there. Now Jinjim's car does not have any wings on it or anything, so I'm gonna use that same styling. We won't have any wings. And I'm also going to give it a third brake light, or I guess fourth in this case, by putting one of these up here. I don't know if Miatas actually have this or not, but okay, so I'm kind of happy with the way the back end is looking. Maybe the chrome is a little bit much on the exhaust, so I'll just make it steel. But other than that, things are looking okay. Okay, so the side of the car is looking a little barren, and the door handles have also disappeared, I'm now noticing, so I'm gonna add those in. And I'll have to work on this part here for the front as well, if I'm actually gonna stick with it. Also, we should probably make this a little bit more aggressive. Well, you know what, let's take some risks. Let's put some of these style door handles on there. I really don't use these too often because they're not great, but they'll work for this. Okay, so the car has a front splitter, which is good, but I'm going to get rid of it and use the thick version instead, as we didn't use it on the last car, so we may as well put it on here. I'm going to actually move these up, which is going to change the styling a little bit, just to fit this thing on. I'm not sure though if this is actually gonna stay. Oh, you know what? I'm ruining this car. Let's just get rid of that. Okay, so I'm now having an issue where it refuses to mold around the body, which is very strange. So we just kind of have a big bar on the top or on the front. Okay, just some small stuff to do then. To show off our new horsepower, I think we should probably put some vents in the hood. Just something like that, just subtle. But it looks nice. Okay, I just can't stop looking at this disaster back here, so I think I'm going to erase it. But in the future I'll try something else, potentially using the same sort of idea. Maybe there's a better way to do it. I'm pretty sure that there was a mod somewhere along the line that did this to the fenders, but yeah, I don't have it right now. Okay, I'm really happy with the taillights on this car. I don't want to change them at all. The back end is looking fine actually. Now that this fender thing is cleared up, we should probably start to work on the suspension and such. The car hasn't really changed. It's not much different than it used to be. It's missing that front piece, but I think I'll put that on anyways just to, I don't know, just in case it does happen to come back magically at some point. But for now, oh no, there we go, it's finally working again. Yeah, the front end hasn't changed at all, it's just the same as it was. However, the back end is quite a bit higher than it was before. I'm content with this, and I think I'm going to leave it as is. Styling wise, I'm not sure what to do with this car. I mean, we could slap a big wing on it, but it's probably going to be fine just how it is. Okay, let's get back over to the drivetrain. So I've already done all this stuff and I think we're fine. Brakes and such might need to be changed, but wheels is one area where I want to make things a little bit different. The offset needs to be greater for our off-road spec version, so let's go ahead and do that. Oh yeah, no, it's way wider than it was before. This thing is going to drive a lot differently than it used to. In terms of wheel thickness, it's actually fine the way it is. The model here is showing it to be pretty decent, so I'm going to be just leaving it the same, I guess? I don't know, I don't want to mess with it too much. It's suggesting 275s. That's a little bit scary. Okay, so I'm going off of its suggestions here. 275 and then 284 in the front. It doesn't even make sense. Okay, 275, 275, those are monstrous wheels on there. I think I'm going to shrink the front just a little bit, maybe bring it down to 260, and then we're still kind of within the area that I want to be. This is not looking good though. What the heck is going on here? Okay, apparently our G-force is like literally off the scales. No idea what to do about that. Okay, in terms of brakes, our brakes are, well, they're not strong enough anymore. We're going to need to increase the size of the fronts at the very least. That's 255s on the fronts and really small ones on the back, but that'll be fine. Aerodynamics, we are currently having issues with that as we're making uplift. Quite a bit of uplift at top speed there, but that's not too big a deal. I mean, we could start adding stuff here, but we're kind of already overweight. At least I think we are. Yeah, we're still overweight by quite a bit, so I don't want to increase this too much. Even if we go for a full under tray, we're still making uplift. Active wing, still making uplift. Downforce full. We do get downforce doing this, but I'm not sure that that's what we need here. Mostly because that now messes up our entire gearing, and our top speed is way down. You know what, we didn't need that top speed anyway though. I think I'm gonna go with that, maybe hope for better performance. We can see what happens at least. And as usual, the brakes need to be a little bit bigger, but that'll be fine. Okay, so we're ticking all of the boxes that keep us into these categories with our interior the way it is, but we have gained a lot of weight. This definitely weighs more. I think we have gained 200 kilos in this time so far. I didn't know that the Boxers weighed so much, because apparently this Boxer weighs more than a V16. That's not to mention the fact that our wheels are now bigger, and our brakes are now bigger, and everything else is, well, just kind of scaling up as we go up in power here. Okay, I'm gonna make a few adjustments to try and get this weight down. Mainly I'm gonna go to carbon fiber wheels, which is very expensive, but it'll make it just a little bit lighter. And then I think I'm gonna use carbon ceramic brakes as well, which is just a touch lighter. That puts us down by 20 kilos, not much. Oh, we have advanced 20 safety, that's probably why this thing weighs so much. If we just go none, we get none of this, but we also go down in weight by 150 kilos. You know what, I can't do it. I think I'm gonna leave it as is. This car is fine. It seems to be working out the way that I want it to. I think I'm going to increase the damper hardness just that little bit extra because otherwise it's going to be a little bit too bumpy on this road that we're going to be trying it on. Okay, so interestingly I was looking at these issues that it has, and apparently the engine is knocking, but it's also not knocking. I don't understand. I guess it's just because we're at the exact amount of RON that we have. For the sake of that, I'm going to go up to Ultimate, and apparently that disappears. Doesn't seem to make a difference. I'm also going to increase the rear brake size just a little bit to compensate for them fading, and I think everything else in there doesn't really matter to me, so let's go ahead and give this thing a try in Beam. It's not that much different, but the heart of it is a lot different. With all-wheel drive, this should be a completely different car. I'm looking forward to trying it out versus the other one. Yeah, I don't know though. 200 extra kilos, 100 extra horsepower. It'll probably still be faster. We'll see. Okay, so when looking at both cars, we can see that there is a significant height difference, which is pretty much what you would expect, and also a significant width difference. The blue car is quite a bit wider than the old one was. But other than that, they're very similar. Like in terms of speed, the new car is a little bit faster, there's no doubt about that. But actually, let me just drive it around for you. It makes a completely different noise than that V16. Yeah, but we'll also be trying out the V16 car as well, so you can get a good reference point. But yeah, here I am just kind of driving around. We'll go around the map a few times and then we'll try this thing off-road. But neither of these cars, in my quick testing of them just before recording this section, are particularly remarkable in terms of speed or handling characteristics and things like that. Neither of them are amazing drivers' cars, but they're definitely competent, and I think that's kind of the Miata spirit. Like, I would guess that neither of these cars are particularly cheap in automation. I think the red one is 52,000 or something, which is quite a bit, but this one's probably more. Yeah, it's not exactly a cheap roadster like the Miata is actually supposed to be, but I don't know, it still kind of has that spirit. Thankfully, I will say that this one is dead smooth at all speeds from what I can tell. Having that little bit extra downforce is definitely a good thing, and it's pretty much just a solid performer all the way around, considering the power and especially considering the weight of it, because it weighs way too much for one of these cars. Far too heavy. And just so you can see the suspension working, it's just hard dampers and a normal preset. And also I changed the springs up a little bit, but that's what it does. Pretty darn good there. Off-road wise, this thing is gonna be smooth, I would suspect. And then if we move over to the V16 variation, yeah, you can kind of see how this one drives. This car also goes up to 9,000 RPM, so it's got a different characteristic right there than the other one. Going up that high on a V16 alone just makes this one way cooler, at least in my opinion. It doesn't look better, but my goodness, it's a weird premise, but I like it. This car overall is a decent one. It's been quite popular on the channel, one of the most popular videos I've done recently. That's not the reason that I'm visiting it again, but I just find that to be interesting. It seems like people were also just as interested in me in the concept of a V16 Miata, but here we go anyways. I think I'd like to revisit this and try and do a naturally aspirated V16 Miata. I think that'd be pretty cool. But overall, I think it's time that we took the blue one over to a dirt course of some kind, and then we can see what it'll do off-road in semi-normal circumstances. Okay, so we made it to the West Coast, which is my favorite map in the game. I think it's time that we went over to an off-roading section and just tried this thing out. I mean, it's kind of a rally Miata, but at the same time not really, and I'm avoiding calling it that because I don't think it really fits that. I haven't designed this thing to be rallied at all, but that doesn't mean we can't try some rally-inspired courses. So I ended up using this route at one point for one of the showcases that I had, where we did sort of rally cars. They were on and off-road, and I didn't tell the percentage of how much was going to be on-road and how much was going to be off, so it kind of messed people up a little bit when I ended up choosing a sort of half-half course. Some of them thought it was going to be all dirt, some of them thought it was going to be all tarmac, but I guess that's in the spirit of rallycross, so let's go on over there and see if I can't just do something good. I gotta say though, the engine noise of this car is lovely. Really like these Boxer noise sounds. It makes me a little nostalgic for my old Subaru. Except the main sound it was making was engine being starved of oil because the head gaskets were leaking. Okay, we're coming up to the parking lot here, and I think I remember the route, but I also probably don't remember the route. Let's go ahead and just try and get up here. Now this is really smooth stuff. Like, you could drive, okay, I guess my benchmark lately has been, you could drive a smart car on this. And I mean, we are using semi-slick tires. I didn't change those for fear of wheel spin issues, so it's not like we're going to be killing it off-road. This is definitely an on-road car for sure. So we're at the top of one of these radio towers, you can see it right there, and the other one is in the distance. It's that hill just past the racetrack. So that is our destination. Let's see if we can't just get over there in this road and dirt course. There is a time trial for this, but I'm not going to time myself. I just want to drive. And also potentially fall off of this cliff, as I did a few times with the cars that were running in the showcase. Okay, so handling on the dirt isn't too bad. I suspect that our front tires are probably a little bit too big, but overall we're doing okay. And I'm pretty sure that this track led us down this way, and then we kind of turned around here. I definitely remember this turn as being one that was painful in quite a few of those cars, because there were no restrictions back then, so I ended up running a ton of different vehicles. If I'm remembering correctly, we also needed to take a left here and try to dodge the curb, so back onto the tarmac for us. But that's fine, our destination is in the distance, and I think I know how to get up there. It's just off of the highway here, if I'm remembering correctly again. Which apparently I'm not, because this is definitely not the right way. I think you're supposed to duck into the subdivision, but we'll just kind of go the long way around here. I gotta say, this car is very well planted, and it's not particularly fast, but that does inspire confidence. Unlike my magnum opus, which we'll be working on soon, by the way, this one is a little more drivable. Yeah, so it seems like I need to take a right there or something, and I've stalled it. There we go. Okay, we're back in. So up this hill we go. This one is a little bit more challenging than the other one, if I'm remembering correctly. Oh, not too bad so far. Come on, car. Let's do this. I'm tempted to try Pikes Peak after this. I think that'd be kind of fun. I mean, just the Devil's Playground, nothing more than that. Actually, we could try and do that on pavement to see what it's like. And we made it. Look at that. All the way up to the top of this tower from the other one. I consider that to be a success. Okay, so this is Pikes Peak Devil's Playground, except I'm going to be doing the time trial version, and this is on pavement. So it might be a little bit easier for me, might be a little bit more difficult. This car is not exactly quick. This is probably going to take 5 years to do, but I'm excited. Let's see if I can do this right. Yeah, I don't know how this is gonna go. Either way, let's take off, and blistering speed right out of the gates. Okay, this is probably a little bit more realistic as to how these things would actually go, but in my case, oh boy, my driving is not good, so we may end up in the ditch here. Truth is, I haven't been playing a lot of BeamNG because I've been spending a lot of time on that SnowRunner video. Now that that's over, it's back to the stuff that I used to be used to. Oh goodness, I should probably bring out my wheel when I'm trying to do these kind of trials. Probably get a better time with it, but anyways, we're gonna continue on regardless. Oh, that's a tough corner right there. Totally forgot about that one. Good thing we have extremely strong brakes on the front end. My goodness, those brakes are huge. You can see how the car just like lurches forward under braking. I'll try to demonstrate it up here as I forget to downshift twice. Now, it's a good thing this car has ABS, because otherwise we would be getting thrashed right now. I am not good at driving with cars that don't have ABS. That being said, with all this stuff that I say that I'm not good at, I am working on getting better at them, but I kind of feel like I need to admit it, because otherwise people will kind of roast me in the comments for bad driving. Even still, it's gonna happen anyways, I'm sure. Okay, so the car on Pikes Peak so far drives like, I don't know, it just drives like a car that's driving up Pikes Peak. It's pretty aggressive, but it's not exactly quick. I'm not exactly driving it to its fullest capabilities, but I think the wide wheels and kind of soft setup don't really work too well on this track. We need better cornering. We need a bit more power to get this thing moving, and probably less weight to help it get around the corners if we want to make a decent hill climb car. But what do you expect? I didn't make it for this, so it's not going to do well at this. Overall, though, I'm still having fun. That's really what matters. Alright, we're almost there. The finish line is actually right there, so I'm going to keep going here. Let's try and get this thing through in less than 3.5 minutes. And yeah, looks like we're going to be able to do that pretty easily. That is 3 minutes, 26 seconds, 89 milliseconds, and that's the only run I've done on this track. But I'll just go quickly into free roam, because I want to get to the top of here and show you what it's really like. Yeah, so my goal for these videos is to make them of higher quality, but also not make them 45 minutes, like that magnum opus video, because that thing is long. Hopefully you got all the way through it though. It's worth the watch. Okay, we're actually moving now, 130 k's an hour. And I'm very afraid of this section. Oh, I know it does come to a turn somewhere along here, but I don't remember where. So far so good though. Can still maintain some decent speed. But that's the top of the hill right up there. Oh boy. Looks like we're not gonna make it to the top. Well, that could have gone better, but I think the best way to do this is just quickly reset and go as the crow flies, just ignore the track itself. Okay, the torque is pretty lackluster on this engine, I know that, which is not helping with our acceleration issues at all, but it's also not helping me climb up this hill as well as I thought I would be able to. However, the soft suspension is making good work out of these bumps. Nothing's really broken so far. We're just kind of driving and bouncing and vibing. And back on the track, would you look at that? Now we're back off the track. Okay, I realize that this is Comma Turismo level cheating, but I really want to make it up here anyways. This is a heck of a slope. You might not be able to tell on video, but I'm just gonna stick it out in first gear and ram all the way up this thing. Oh, this is not gonna go well. Come on, game, please be favorable. Oh, no. Well, I think that's a fitting end to this episode as I fall down the hill to my endless demise. I kind of picked a bad route there, and I'm paying for it in terms of destruction. I'm trying to make better cars these days, and I think this one turned out okay. It's being tossed about considerably right now, and we've lost 2 wheels, but overall it does drive okay. It sounds good. It looks pretty much the same as the other car, but I think the subtle touches work, and I think next time I'll have a couple more new things for you instead of just retracing old steps, so hopefully you're ready for that. And it's totally scraping on the ground, but we're pretty much where we need to be. And the front end is so dented, but I think the engine is probably still fine. Oh yeah, because it's so deep in there, the engine itself has a huge crash barrier. Anyways, that's it for this video. Hopefully you enjoyed. If you enjoyed this content, be sure to subscribe to the channel. I'm almost at 30,000 subscribers actually. Things are moving a bit quicker than I thought they would, but that is a pretty significant goal coming up, and I'm kind of excited. I don't have anything planned for it, but you know what? More milestones, the better. Anyways, thank you everybody. We'll see you again next time. This channel is supported by viewers like you. We have Canadian Steel, Overlord, Dr. Ivo, That Right Stud Explorer, QT Bear, Terry Williams, The Most Random Person, Sick D Cars and Stuff, Boris Ramirez, Daniel, and Jacob. Thank you for your support.